Well, good morning. And what a grand morning it is, too. First of all, let me thank all of you for being here. And in particular, let me thank City Manager, retired Kevin O'Rourke, and Kevin Doughton, also retired. Their work more than 20 years ago under the direction of Mayor Gary Filati proposed this notion that we really ought to have a livable, walkable community, and that this train station would allow that to occur. So you are part of history today. Takes a little long sometime to get things done, but I am absolutely delighted that all of you are here. This project represents perhaps the largest, the biggest, the grandest public works project in the history of Fairfield. And it is going to happen very, very quickly. And it's appropriate that we had as a backdrop those trains going through here. That's just the beginning. Some of you, if you're old enough, like Mayor Augustine and me, you remember that every community in the United States had at least one train station. And then the automobile came along in great numbers in the early 50s. And from the early 50s to the early 70s, one after another across this country, train stations were shut down. It has changed. It has changed because the automobile is crowding every highway, every freeway, every turnpike. The alternative, of course, is going back to passenger rail. And how wonderful it is that this train station will serve Vacaville, Fairfield, Dixon, Suisun City as we continue to grow. And it's appropriate also to acknowledge that its location in the Northeast. Some of us followed the advice of an early journalist who said, "Go west, young man, go west." Well, we're going east today. So thank you very much. And let me also acknowledge that retired city manager, Sean Quinn, is here too. And it was part of his vision. Thank you, Sean. There are lots of electeds. I love it. That's a great sound. And if you remember, as Len and I do, that lonely whistle in the middle of the night telling us that a train was coming through, you knew that was progress. We couldn't get Bart to come this far east, but you can connect with Bart. And our speakers today, we are so fortunate to have Senator Lois Wolk here. Senator, thank you, ma'am. Assemblyman Jim Fraser, who's getting things done at an unprecedented pace. Jim, thank you for being such a good friend. Supervisor Jim Spering, and I call him Mr. Transportation because he delivers. And then, of course, my very dear friend, we grew up in coal mining country in Pennsylvania, Len Augustine, and he might tell you a little bit about coal. And the chair of the Solano Transportation Authority, Mayor Elizabeth Patterson, City of Benicia. Madam Chair, they're all going to talk to you, and they're going to share some very important observations. So let me begin, because he has a very tight schedule in Sacramento. We'll begin with Assemblyman Jim Fraser, please. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and it is quite an honor to be here on a project that is being done ahead of infrastructure. Normally we do projects 20 years after we put the infrastructure in. I'm proud to say this is a model to go forward and what other communities should be doing. But I want to thank all the distinguished guests that are here also today. And I want to thank everybody for participating in this occasion. Too often, regarding transportation in California, it can be complex to say the least. And but not today. Again, what a fantastic opportunity for Fairfield to shine. Yes, it took some time, but look at the results. Today we gathered to celebrate the groundbreaking of the highly anticipated monumental Fairfield-Vacaville Train Station project, and I'm glad to hear that we have one of our premier contractors on the project. C.C. Myers Tykert is going to be doing the project, and I'm very proud. They've done a lot of projects in the Bay Area and in the state, and you'll know that you'll probably be, I'm not going to say probably, you'll be on time and on budget because of this company, and safe. And large part because of OE3 will be here too, and I want to thank Labor for their participation today also. This project is an outstanding collaboration of several agencies, which I am privileged to be a part of. But City of Fairfield, City of Vacaville, Solano Transportation Authority, Metropolitan Transportation Commission, Capital Corridor JPA, the Federal Transit Administration, Union Pacific Railroad, and the California Department of Transportation, which I'm a part of. The opportunity for all these people to collaborate and get this done, and I'm glad that I was able to help fulfill a funding need when crunch time became a problem. The state of California's interest in this project begins with initiatives AB 32 and SB 375, and a renewed dedication to reducing greenhouse gas emissions on a regional and state level. The AB 32 California Global Warming Solutions Act of 2006 is the first program in the country to take a comprehensive long-term approach to addressing climate change in California. The program is intended to vastly reduce the state's greenhouse gas emissions while preserving the environment, natural resources, and maintaining a robust economy. And SB 375, according to the California Air Resource Board, transportation accounts for 40% of greenhouse gas emissions, with cars and trucks accounting for 3/4 of those emissions. So we're looking at opportunities for people to come and have transit-oriented development and also infrastructure that will feed into jobs. This bill gave CARB the authority to set regional targets for the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions through regional allocation of housing needs and transportation planning. This will assist California in achieving statewide emission goals provided under AB 32, and you can be commended for those efforts. In addition to efforts by my colleagues, the geographic location of the project was pivotal in procuring the state funding. Located along the Capital Corridor, positioned between Sacramento and San Francisco, this is an ideal site to implement the initiatives AB 32 and SB 375. Successful in securing $11 million in the Prop 1B Trade Corridor Improvement Fund, which when the city and Darrell called me, we were able to help secure. As the Assembly member of the 11th Assembly District, I'm honored to represent many of the communities that will be the beneficiaries of this project and the impact of the environment and public transit. Again, thank you for your attendance today. This is a very important project. I'm going to be tracking it as it progresses, and I offer my sincere gratitude for you all including me today in this morning's celebration. Congratulations. I look forward to seeing you back here in 2017 because I want to cut that ribbon.
Thank you, Assemblyman Jim Fraser. And now we turn to the lady who has made such a significant difference in the California State Legislature, and that's our own very favorite Lois Wolk. Would you please welcome the lady who does it all the time. Lois, thank you so much, my dear.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that very kind introduction. It's really a pleasure to be here. You know, I just have my staff set aside every month for a groundbreaking with STA. I just tell them, just set aside the time, wherever it is, we'll be there. Every month there's another wonderful project that comes to pass. And this is just another example. Let me give you a little bit of history, though. In 1990, those of you that are our age will remember, the voters actually passed a proposition creating what was then known and supporting what was then known as the Capitals Line. But you know, the promise of rail travel at that time and along this corridor was truly just a gleam in Jim Spering's eye. Through many ups and downs and A lot of hard work, hard work building partnerships up and down the corridor. This capital corridor has become one of the most traveled in the entire country. From San Jose past the early capitals of Benicia and Vallejo, ending up at the capital in the current capital in Sacramento, the train actually follows the route of California history. The railroad, exploration, that's the history of California. So here in 2015, takes us a little while, but we get there. We're finally catching up to that extraordinary vision. And this station that serves both Fairfield and Vacaville is an integral part of that vision. Train travel, as we all know, is when it is convenient and frequent and relatively inexpensive, it provides an alternative to the cars, the gas, and the congestion which increases on Interstate 80, despite our valiant efforts and the valiant efforts of STA to make it better, and it is better. But this form of travel has finally come into its own and is recognized by all of us as the future. So thank you for your partnerships and your collaborations, as my colleague, my wonderful colleague, Assemblymember Fraser, has described. Local partners, state partners, federal partners, all kinds of partners have to come together on transportation projects. They're never easy to do, but the Solano Transportation Authority does it so well, and I thank you for that. And I look forward to continuing to work with you on other projects in the future, on the future of train travel, on funding, on public safety, on transit-oriented development, which is really critical, and at the base, economic expansion and economic health in our region. So I'm just thrilled to be here. Congratulations again to all of you.
Isn't she great? And I have envied her all these years because in Davis, she has a train station. So now you have company, Lois, and when you need to get to your district office in Vacaville, you can take the train from Sacramento. Isn't that great? Well, let us turn now to Jim Spering, a guy whose vision, whose determination, and whose intellect, as well as his future planning, comes to fruition again. And it happens right here. Would you welcome, please, Supervisor Jim Spering, Mr. Transportation.
Thank you, Harry. You know, first I have to warn you that if my comments are confusing and mixed up, it's because I borrowed somebody's glasses. So I don't know what line I'm on. You know, this station is going to build a foundation for a transportation network for Fairfield and Vacaville, you know, for both of these communities. Something that is much different than what we have today. You know, right now the main connection is Interstate 80 and automobiles and buses, but this is a very unique and much different connection. You know, congratulations both to the city of Fairfield and Vacaville. You will now be a member of the National Amtrak system. You know, when you look at across this country, there's very few communities that have and are asking for intercity rail service or commuter rail service. Very few communities are able to accomplish that, and I want to congratulate both Fairfield and Vacaville becoming part of a national system. You know, the full potential of this project is going to be appreciated by the next generation that of Solano County travelers. This is going to include commuters, business travelers, Travis Air Force Base personnel, students. That list goes on, and there's people that are going to be able to travel throughout this region. This project will allow people to travel on the Capital Corridor trains to destinations throughout the region and adding more connectivity Solano County. You know, you hear transportation planners always talk about connectivity, and what it means in this project is that you're going to be able to get on. Yeah, matter of fact, it's going to be this train that's going right behind me, and David, thank you for timing this train while I was speaking. So I had to delay a little bit, but you're going to be able to get on. you're going to be able to get on the Capitol Corridor, and if you're going to the San Francisco Bay Area, you'll be able to do a cross-platform connection to BART into a major transportation system. And if you're going east, you can tie right into Sacramento's metro service, the light rail. And it also, if you'll be able to go all the way down into the San Jose area, and this service is going to connect to the high-speed rail. And so it opens up tremendous opportunities to the residents of Solano County. As you look at the populations of both Vacaville and Fairfield, between the two cities, we've got about 200,000 people, 14,000 personnel work over here at Travis Air Force Base. And you look at the congestion on I-80 today and what's being projected, you can really understand the need for this station. This station will play a very important role in the region's transportation network, and that's one of the reasons that MTC has made this project a high priority. Now, the passenger rail service that stops here, it's going to add, and I love this line, it'll add one more rung to the ladder of opportunity for Solano County's workforce. It'll be providing opportunities for both jobs and students and people going to school. You know, MTC allocated $9 million of bridge toll money for this project early on, and then we allocated another $33 million of regional Measure 2 money, and the support that the Commission has had for this project will continue in the future, and we're competing for additional funds. I do want to just mention real quickly my good friend, Assembly Member Bill Dodd, who is my seatmate at MTC. He and I helped navigate a lot of this funding for both Napa and Solano County, and so Bill was a key player in this project that you see before us today. You know, and I also want to take a minute to thank both Mayor Len Augustine and Mayor Price. You know, many years ago, and I'm not talking about 2 or 3, about 10 years ago, we had talked about this project, and both of them saw the importance that this project would play in the regional transportation network and the potential that this project brings to Solano County's economic future. And both of them saw that potential, and I really appreciate their support as we have gone through this project. You know, there's a whole bunch of people that you have to thank for what's happening today for this groundbreaking. But first, I want to thank the city managers of both Fairfield and Vacaville and their staffs. You know, a lot of us up here, elected officials, we come up with these great ideas, but the people in the trenches doing the jobs are the city managers and their staffs and the work that they do. And so I want to thank them. A very special thank you to Sean Quinn, and hopefully Sean's here. And you know, when we were trying to get the money through the commission, you know, I called Sean at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and said, Sean, I need some documents. I need this. By 9 o'clock the next day, we had what we needed. And Sean, thank you. I mean, just great responsiveness to our needs. And then, of course, Lois had mentioned just a minute ago, Daryl Hall and the STA staff. You know, our Solano Transportation Authority is the glue that holds all of these projects together. You know, when you look at the project delivery that takes place in Solano County, it's not just one agency, it's not just one city, and it's not the county. It's bringing all of these agencies together and coordinating them, and the STA does a great job doing that. And lastly, I want to thank David Kotrowski from the Capitol Corridor, the general manager. David is here. I want to thank him. You know, I can't tell you how difficult it is to get an Amtrak stop station in your community. It is very difficult, and without David's support, and he's been helping us work on this for many years, and he's got it in the Capitol Corridor plan, and this station is going to play a very important role. And David recognized the land use planning that has gone around this station is an important component to the success of this station. And so thank you, David. I can't thank you enough for your support. And lastly, I know you all been watching basketball, and the one reason the Warriors have had the success they've had is because they've been playing together as a team. And the reason this project is happening today is because Solano County has played as a team to deliver this project. And thank everybody that's been involved in this project. Thank you very much.
Isn't that wonderful? And he tells the truth. And when he tells the truth, all of us pay attention, and we really do appreciate all of you. And our next speaker will be the chair of the Solano Transportation Authority. She's the mayor of the city of Benicia. Does not have a train station, but like Mayor Jack Batchelor in Dixon, she'd like to have one too. So would you welcome, please, my dear friend, Mayor Elizabeth Patterson. And thank you, ma'am.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Price. I don't know what's worse, doing the opening part for somebody who's really a great speaker or following somebody who's really a great speaker. But here I am. And much of what I wanted to say has been said, which I sort of anticipated. So I thought I would maybe add a little bit of bit of history and a personal note. Most of you probably know that Benicia was the rail capital of Solano County as it carried the trains across on ferries over to Contra Costa. And that is what drove the economy of Benicia. And so here we are in 2015 without a train station because we are part of the cycle of the changes in transportation, which have been cited by all our speakers today. And that is really one of the points to note is that we are at this pivotal point in transportation in California, if not the country. And this station is a marvelous example of a community of the two cities and the county that have come together to take that bold step in entering into that new era. So it's very exciting for me to be here. I was an early adopter of trains as a child, but also as a commuter. I rode Amtrak for almost 10 years in my job in the capital, state of California. So I had many wonderful experiences. Last night I was on BART. There's absolutely no comparison. I love Amtrak. I love the service that they provide, and I love just every day that you can do your work, take a nap, whatever you need to do, even form friendships. So this station represents a quality of life that people are going to be experiencing, and that's part of that pivotal point where people heretofore have been spending so much wasted time in jammed traffic situations, can't get home in time to enjoy a relaxed dinner and the family and so forth, maybe even come to a council meeting once in a while. Now they'll have the opportunity to do something better with their time by having access here at this very key area for transportation and trains. This is also intended to be intermodal station, so it'll accommodate some of our bus feeder stations. And one of the big problems that we have in the world of transportation these days is what's called that first mile and that last mile. The land use, the pattern of land use is going to dictate the ability for us to meet that first mile and last mile demand. And the vision that the communities have for that land use is really going to drive the success of getting this train station to do what it is intended to do. So I know that there are mixed use ideas involved where people can do shopping and have services, but we also have the opportunity to have the right number of people housed near the train station. I wanted to quote from Dwight D. Eisenhower. I know some of my colleagues remember him. And I'm going to actually change a couple of genders, and you'll see why. Neither a wise woman nor a brave woman lies down on the tracks of history to wait for the train of the future to run over her. And that is the vision, that is our destiny to take this bold step to move forward for the new era of transportation. One of the things we talk about AB 32 and the reduction of greenhouse gases, so I sort of wanted to put it in perspective for all of you to think about, is that I was looking up some of the efficiency aspects, and in general, these are broad generalizations, buses represent 54 passengers per gallon of gas. So if you think that your electric car is the answer to the future, I suggest otherwise, considering what it takes to generate that power. Trains represent the 20 times the miles per gallon over cars, And as a matter of fact, trains, I thought this was really interesting little bit of factoid. Trains are more efficient than motorcycles. And I know we have a couple of motorcyclists here. So, in conclusion, trains are our destiny. Our pattern of land use is our destiny. And again, thanks to all the visionaries and all the leaders in this community and the STA efforts and the staff for making this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was well said. And let me turn now to the guy who understands what it's like to grow up in a town that had more than one train station. My good friend, Len Augustine, Mayor of Vacaville. Len?
Well, I want you to know that Harry's my older good friend. He's got me by 4 months, and I'm not going to let him forget it either. You know, he's got white hair, and I think I still have blonde. I'm not sure. Really, like Elizabeth said, everything's been said already. In fact, Elizabeth is not unusual. She's sitting on the left of you, and I'm sitting on the right over here, which is probably appropriate. And it's also good to be in a place where people know who I am, because I just was reelected mayor in November, and I went to the Senior Convalescence Center, and while I was there were 3 ladies sitting out in the front of the building waiting for guys to come in. That's usually what they do at these places. And while we were sitting there, they were sitting there, I walked up to them and I said, "Excuse me, ladies, you know who I am?" And one said, "No, honey, but if you go to the front counter, they'll tell you." I've been using that joke now for 20 years and it still works. I did grow up in a coal mining town, and we had a train that came right through Alden, Pennsylvania. And it was not unusual at the age of 10, 11, 12 to take an empty wheelbarrow up the tracks and then pick coal that was dropped off by the coal trucks that went by, and then wheel the thing. Fortunately, it was downhill with the coal and into our sheds that we had, and we all had coal stoves. So I grew up with trains. My cousin Norman was a manager of a local train in Pennsylvania that ran all through the northeastern of the United States, and so I love trains. In fact, I had trains as a kid, and so this is really something for me. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for the day when we yell all aboard and get on. You know, that's going to be great. I do have a couple of serious things to say, though, but somebody already mentioned STA and Darrell Halls and his staff. And they truly are the best organization here county-wide that works on transportation issues. But not only that, they have a staff that just really does great work. Of all of the places you go, they have the best organized agenda. There's never a misspelled word. The grammar is correct. I mean, really, truly, they are very professional, and we can't do without them. They brought all the 7 cities together. Even though our politics are different, we always agree on helping each other, and that's really been a good thing. In fact, Elizabeth and I are really good friends. We've driven off to different conferences together, and I always appreciate her viewpoint. Jim Spering down here is as it said, Mr. Transportation. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have many, many projects in our county. I can think of his help on getting I-80 repaved early. I can think of the overcrossing at Leisurestown Road, in which he got the money for us to do that. So many projects. Jim Spering's been at the forefront, and he truly deserves a great big hand for this project as well. Now, Harry and I are both from Pennsylvania, and growing up in the same state, it's a wonderful state, but train travel was really important. I went off to my first assignment in the military on a train, and that sounded like a train to me out first. But I wanted to say something about the collaborative effort that existed between Fairfield, Vacaville, the county, the Travis Unified School District, everyone who's worked together to make sure that all of the issues that we were concerned about were handled. The road's going to be closed here for 16 months, and as a result of that, it's going to be very important for us to be able to get to Travis Air Force Base. And so working with the leadership at Travis Air Force Base, which is also one of the collaborative members, we've arranged all those things to satisfy the needs of the school district and busing their children and getting on a base and all the other things that are important, not just to the project, but making sure we don't disrupt the lives of people as it's going on. So I want to thank all of those people. Lois, who has been a long time representative for our city, from both the Assembly area and the Senate, she's done an amazing job for us in many areas, particularly I think Highway 12 when that was brought to the fore. So we've all worked transportation issues for a long time. Jim Fraser's come on board, and he's everywhere. He's actually got a twin you don't know about. And Harry, of course, and I go way back to being good friends. And we once said that probably what we want to do in the future is climb up that hill back there and bury the hatchet between the cities, because we used to have feuds, and now we're really good friends and we try to work together. In fact, I helped his Walmart when they opened up as a greeter, and Pete Sanchez, who's sitting there, we went over to his new Walmart and opened that one up too and acted as greeters. So we want to thank all of the people that are in the audience here today for this very important occasion. We're excited about it, and as I said earlier, can't wait till we hear those famous words, all aboard.
Thank you, Len. As always, spot on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all of this is a cause for celebration, and we need to acknowledge the folks who really know how to bring a team together to work so cooperatively. So would you pay particular attention to the two public works directors? Take a look at the two of them. George Hicks, City of Fairfield; Stephen Hartwig, City of Vacaville. Thank you, gentlemen. The partnerships continue. There are representatives here from the Travis Unified School District, the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District, and the Vacaville Unified School District, because all three of them are affected, so we thank you. And I would also like to acknowledge all the electeds who are here. Would you raise your hand? Being elected is a risky business. Thank you. And then let us pay particular attention now to the folks who are doing all of this work. Would you look around? And I asked earlier if we could drive this big earth mover over here. And I know Councilwoman Catherine Boyce said she'd like to do it, but she didn't want to back it up. The Fairfield City Council was unanimous in their support of this project. Rick Vaccaro, thank you very much. Chuck Tim, thank you. Pamela Bertani, thank you. And let me also point out to you that none of this would be happening today were it not for Aaron Hannigan's father. Tom Hannigan, when he served in the Assembly, supported legislation that's a Isn't that a nostalgic, romantic sound? Let me conclude by saying they know what's happening. And those folks on board that train are saying, what are those guys doing out there today? Let us thank all of our speakers. Thank you very much. Would like to thank all of our project supporters, the U.S. Department of Transportation and Federal Transit Authority, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, Bay Area Toll Authority, those are the bridge tolls that we pay, Caltrans, what an amazing partner they are. Capital Corridor, again, David Krotowski, thank you so much. Solano Transportation Authority, they know how to do things, how to get them done on time. And then if you would look over here, you see that pile of dirt? We need to acknowledge the Clorox Company because they dedicated the right-of-way. And all the other surrounding businesses cooperated as well. And of course, the construction teams that are changing the face of the Northeast Fairfield Corridor. This is a project labor agreement. And I really applaud the Fairfield City Council for taking that action because we are creating meaningful jobs, and they're going to get this project done on time, and under budget, I hope. The Fairfield-Vacaville Train Station is a magnificent project for all of our communities. And before you leave, would you shake hands with someone you haven't met before and say thank you for being here? And Gary Filati, and those of you who served on the Planning Commission, Steve Lester, Scott Tonneson, thank you so very much for being a part of this today. And ladies and gentlemen, on August 14th, I'm hoping we're going to board some trains. So bless us all, thank you, and let's give a hoot hoot for the Fairfield-Vacaville Train Station. All aboard! Thank you very much.